Hello, welcome back. Once again, it's Telling Stories March edition. It's been a bit of a long layoff, but here we are back again. I'm Christopher Schultz, and I'm your host for this episode. Now, this week, we're going to be talking about Conor McGregor. Some of you are probably aware, March 5th, big fight between Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor. I have a bit of a guilty pleasure about enjoying combat sports. I don't know why. But the point is, McGregor is fighting, and McGregor, I mean, what can we say? This guy has captivated sports right now. He has definitely replaced Ronda Rousey as the big name in the Ultimate Fighting Championship. I mean, he's essentially the biggest star that the UFC has ever had. Now, what's interesting about Conor McGregor is that a lot of the praise for him and a lot of the criticism seems to revolve around his big mouth. The guy's got a huge mouth. He is basically the epitome of trash talk in just about any sport. Conor McGregor has a knack for the bon mot. He also has a bad habit of saying some pretty racist stuff. Very controversial figure. In fairness to him, though, he also has a sense of humor, and this is what I think a lot of people really enjoy about him. He is basically capable of shredding his opponents. Nobody has really come up with a good counter to his banter. He jumps into conversations, he talks trash, he really insults people. He makes them feel terrible. And then he goes into the ring and he fundamentally dominates them. Now, whenever you have a trash talking figure in combat sports, it's inevitable you're going to get the comparisons to somebody like Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali, of course, very famous for trash talking, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, his most famous expression. But, he also had a penchant for basically saying all the right things at just the right time, just to skewer his opponents, to skewer the media, to skewer his critics, and especially to promote his fights. He was great at hyping his fights, but he didn't just do it outside of the ring. Muhammad Ali's rope-a-dope technique in the ring, of course, was also part of staging these sort of grand spectacles for the fans. He would take a punch and stagger and take a punch and stagger, and then the next thing you knew, his opponent was facing a barrage of punches, and he would just go down in a lump. But I have to say, I have a little bit of a problem with these comparisons of Conor McGregor to Muhammad Ali. And lately, Yahoo Sports, Kevin Iole, who is one of the more respected journalists who writes about combat sports, he's basically said that the comparison between Ali and McGregor grows stronger all the time, and it revolves around this idea of the word impossible, that this word does not exist in Conor McGregor's vocabulary, and this was very much the same attitude that Muhammad Ali had when he was fighting in his prime in the 1960s. Now that date is pretty important. A black athlete in the middle of the civil rights movement. Sorry, Conor, but really this idea of impossible pales in comparison to what Muhammad Ali used to face. The specter of racism in Muhammad Ali's day revolved around Jim Crow. It revolved around the civil rights movement. We're talking about segregated schools. We're talking about not being able to share water fountains with white people. I'd love to know what definition of impossible Conor McGregor is facing right now. Because frankly, we have to put this comparison to bed. When Muhammad Ali stood in front of the media and talked about how nothing was impossible, he was doing so in a sweeping social, economic, and political struggle that had nothing to do with the ring. The ring was merely the place through which he would articulate the struggle. Now, I'm not saying there's not a litany of historical wrongs against the Irish. There have been forced famines, there have been all kinds of antagonistic behaviors, forcible put-downs of strikes and protests, and then, of course, there's the Troubles. There have been lots and lots of problems. But the reconciliation of those things has never had a racial component to it. It was about language and politics, geographic control, those kinds of things. And the racial issue has proven to be a much more challenging struggle. Even in Muhammad Ali's day, I don't think anybody would have predicted, given all the successes of the civil rights movement, that we would still be facing the same historic problems. The point is that Black Lives Matter is a thing right now. I'm not aware of any Irish Lives Matter. So Conor McGregor really doesn't face the same issues and the same hurdles. And I think it's time that we put this comparison with Muhammad Ali to bed. If you want to talk about very superficial treatment of the way that they speak to the media. Fine, they're both brilliant fight promoters. But the problem is that Muhammad Ali was facing a civil rights issue. He was the face of black entertainment, black athleticism. He was a civil rights crusader, and he should be praised for that, and that should be put into context whenever we make these comparisons. I wish Conor McGregor the best of luck in his fight, but let's not blow it out of proportion. Conor McGregor, wonderful hype artist, but that's about where it ends. So thanks a lot for joining me again this week. I'm Christopher Schultz, and this has been Telling Stories. You can subscribe below, and if you don't like what I have to say, well, let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to respond to you, and maybe we can inspire a further discussion about this in a new video. All right, thanks a lot, and have an awesome one.